All right, Mr. Anderson. So we've launched the robot project, and you've asked me about how I feel things have gone. So I'm going to ask you a few questions too. One question I have for you is one that's been bumping around in my mind, and it's about the students who have never built a robot before, and who have maybe sat through class today and heard the introduction and think, I don't even know where to begin. How do you think they're going to do in this project?
Well, we saw it today. I think at the launch, it was a lot of hesitation. It was a lot of I'm scared and I want to basically stay away. It's not possible. When we asked about knows or needs to knows, a lot of students, they voiced that they don't think it's possible to do, let alone to do for $10 or less. So I think what we're going to see up front with students that aren't comfortable with it is hesitation to get involved. But as we move on and they start to see these things come together, and we teach some of the content as far as how motors can work and how electricity and current can help the motor go and stop the motor and start the motor. Once they start to put all these things together, they're going to start to see the end product. And I think they're really going to have some intrinsic motivation as far as, all right, I see it. I'm ready to continue and move forward.
Yeah, I think that a lot of our students don't realize that we are going to scaffold them to the knowledge that they need to build a robot. We're not just going to leave them in the cold to do this. So I think that'll help.
And I also talked to a couple of students who, interviewing them in the hall before we got started, that was one of the questions I asked. Do you have any experience with robots? Does it scare you? And the ones that I interviewed, they didn't have experience, but they were very excited about gaining the experience and being able to build a robot. So I think you could see both sides.
How would you gauge the enthusiasm as we kicked off the project today for the students? Would you say it was what you expected to be? Were they really into it, or do you think they were a little bit overwhelmed by the whole idea?
I think they were really into it. You may have another view from, of the class, but I feel like, going through the entry doc and the launch and talking about it with the students, we had 100% or almost 100% attention during that. And I think it was one of the best knows or need to knows that we went through, as far as everybody filling in the knows and needs to knows, coming up with things they know and questions they have. Like you mentioned, they mentioned the maze, and we didn't really anticipate that being mentioned. So I think they're into it, and I really think that, I hope that we're going to get some great products.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thinking back on that, you're right about the knows and needs to knows. We've done that with every project we've done, and I think that was by far the best we've ever had from our students as far as participation. I can't think of only one student that put something about, I don't know what to say here. But even students who traditionally in the past have tried to avoid putting anything down at all had something legit, and it wasn't just the basics of when is it due, or
right,
who's my group. I think I saw that once or twice.
Yeah.
It was a lot about the mechanics of the robot or the structure of the project itself, which was
right,
really, really exciting. And even from our one session that maybe usually isn't as awake as the other session, they were still really into it too. So,
yeah, very.
Do you think we hit every need to know?
No, not even close. We, scrolling through that document, picking out things that we felt like answering. I think things that they needed to know right away were really what we covered. The students didn't ask every question that they're going to need to ask in order to get this completed, but I think that's part of the process, and revisiting and fixing it on a daily basis.
So what do you anticipate for tomorrow?
Oh, good question.
So I'm asking you before you ask me.
I don't know. I think it's going to be, that scaffolding that you talked about, and starting to introduce some content and give them some pieces that they can maybe use to take parts from and put this together. I mean, not literally, really. Give them a piece, a breadcrumb that they can maybe use to guide them in the future as far as designing this robot, and then, in a sense, getting their blueprint, and then finally start the construction. So it's going to be a very detailed process. However, each day is going to be something that we'll probably be planning the day before because we never know what's going to happen.
Right. Every day is going to issue a new variable to us. So.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you.
I have one question for you.
Okay.